My name is from Abby. Okay. My name is Abby. I'm from Nixa First Assembly. I will be singing
Something.
Dry Bones by Lauren Daigle.
Ready?
Through the eyes of men, it seems there's so much we have lost. As we look down the road, I can't hear it. Okay. I can't hear it at all.
You can hold the.
Just hold it on your
I'll
shoulder.
hold the picture.
Is that Miss Tina, by the way?
It is.
Miss Tina. I'm gonna play piano like her one day.
Who's Tina?
Through the eyes of men, it seems there's so much we have lost. As we look down the road where all the prodigals have walked. And one the enemy has whispered lies and let them off as slaves. But we know that you are God, yours is the victory. And we know there is more to come that we may not yet see. So with the faith you've given us, we step into the valley unafraid. Yeah. So we call out to dry bones, come alive, come alive. As we call out to dead hearts, come alive, come alive. Up out of the ashes, let us see an army rise. As we call out to dry bones, come alive. God of endless mercy, God of unrelenting love, rescue every daughter, bring us back the wayward sons, and by your spirit breathe upon and show the world that you alone can save. You alone can save. As we call out to dry bones, come alive, come alive. As we call out to dead hearts, come alive, come alive. Up out of the ashes, let us see an army rise. As we call out to dry bones, come alive. So breathe, oh breath of God, now breathe, oh breath of God, breathe, oh breath of God, now breathe. Breathe, oh breath of God, now breathe, oh breath of God, breathe, oh breath of God, now breathe. As we call out to dry bones, come alive, come alive. As we call out to dead hearts, come alive, come alive. Up out of the ashes, let us see an army rise. As we call out to dry bones, come alive. Through the eyes of men, it seems there's so much we have lost. As we look down the road where all the prodigals have walked, and one by one the enemy has whispered lies and let them off as slaves. That's good. We'll be doing a short sermon entitled Born Ready. I'm from Nixa First Assembly. So my sister and Wow, okay. When I was younger, my sister and I decided to ride down a large hill with our bikes. So we were riding down this hill, and she asked me to move out of the way. But I thought I was just fine where I was. What I didn't realize is in this moment, her only option was to run into me, a car, or the lake. She chose the car. And because I thought I was amazing at riding my bike, she ended up plastered to a car. When really none of us are perfect professionals at the things we just learned to do. The gifts and talents God gives us aren't perfect. I would like to go over 3 different obstacles that could prevent us from using our gifts for God. One being people. Who are you relying on? Are you relying on people's encouragement or God? In 1 Samuel 16, it talks about how the prophet Samuel is sent to Jesse's house to find the next king anointed by God. Jesse brought 7 of his 8 sons out, the 7 that he was sure would become king. But after going through all 7 sons, Samuel asks, "Is there no one else?" And Jesse replies, "Well, there's David, but he's tending the flock." So they sent for David. And as soon as Samuel saw David, he knew he was king. But if David had listened to what his brothers or father thought of him, if David let what people thought of him sink in instead of what God thought of him, he never would have been able to be king. So there are going to be times when your friends and family aren't going to see the potential that God has put in you, but God put it there. It's not up for them to debate. So my first point is people, and my second is faith. Sometimes I think we all feel like David. "You sure, God? All I have is these stones." But if God says it's enough, it will be. In 1 Samuel 17, when David fought Goliath, he had 5 stones in his slingshot, but he defeated Goliath. In verse 49, David tells the Philistines, "You come against me with a spear, a sword, and a javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, who you have defied." What equipped David for battle wasn't the stones. What equipped David for battle was God. There are going to be times when you think everyone around you is more equipped to fight the battle that God has prepared for you. But God called you. Everyone on that battlefield was technically more equipped for battle than David was. King Saul's armor wouldn't even fit David. But God called David. That brings me to my third point, journeying with God. Journeying with God. I can't remember.
Do you remember any, not just like where you're supposed to start, but can you like start somewhere and can keep going?
Probably.
Okay.
In 1 Samuel 21:9, David came upon a town, and David needed a weapon to fight Saul. But they said, "We have no more weapons. We have no more except the sword you used to kill Goliath." David needed to go through the journey of fighting Goliath before he could even obtain the tools to fight Saul. The danger as Christians is having a destination mindset, thinking that we are walking towards this destination, this end. But right now, at this very moment, you are accumulating tools to do what God has for you. The point of journeying with God is not to get to the end of the story. The point of journeying with God is to journey with God. The truth is, when we find out what we're supposed to do, we may think we're supposed to be there right away. But not only is it that we need to grow our talent, it's that we need to go through the journey that God has prepared for us. Like me on my bike, I was not a professional day one. God's goal is not to make us professionals. God's goal is to use us to bring him honor and glory. That's why we need to 1, rely on God. 2, trust God that he will equip you. And 3, don't forget the journey. My prayer for you all is that you would realize what God has for you and that you would realize that God is not a small part of your story. You are a small part of his story. Thank you. Yeah, that